Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from SmartCon in New York City. Joining me for this segment, we have Sam Fagin, Director of Payments at Polygon Labs. We're here to discuss how quickly blockchain is becoming a core layer for global payments. Sam, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Jill, it's great to be here.
And it certainly is becoming a core layer. In just alone, Polygon processed over nearly 2 billion in payments volume just this last quarter.
Yep.
What's driving that momentum across the industry right now?
Yeah, I think the Genius Act was kind of that first domino really to come into play here. I think regulating the industry was very important. Since then, you've seen payments companies such as Stripe come through the space in a big way. I think long term, as we think about interchange fees and transaction fees, their core business is servicing small to medium-sized businesses, which traditionally have the largest pain point. So that's what we're seeing at a company like Stripe. You have companies like remittance companies. So Western Union announced something pretty recently. Remittance companies are starting to use it for intercompany settlements. So traditionally, these companies have no-show and no-show accounts, so they have dormant capital and currencies parked all around the world. And what stablecoins allow them to do is settle intercompany 24/7, kind of limiting the need for these pre-funded accounts, so they can use it for other parts of their operations. So stablecoins, both from a B2B and B2C standpoint, are really starting to see adoption. And yeah, it's exciting.
So you also have recent partnerships with Flutterwave, with Stripe as well, that shows, real progress in block-based chain payments. Tell us more about those partnerships.
Yeah, Flutterwave is one that's very exciting for us. When we think about regions like in Africa or Latin America, giving folks access to dollar-denominated stablecoins is very important downstream. As we think about these unbanked now being able to download an app and now having a currency that holds value so they can use for goods and services. For Flutterwave, they're working with enterprises such as Netflix and Uber, who are accepting Naira, which is the local currency in Nigeria, immediately swapping to a stablecoin, USDC or USDT. And right now they're sitting on those stablecoins. What Flutterwave is going to be doing on Polygon is allowing them to deposit that stablecoin, and then they're going to solve the last mile, swapping USDC or USDT $2, and then sending to Netflix and Uber's bank account in the US. And we're very excited about that partnership. Stripe, we've worked with for a while, and they've been a great partner of us as well.
It's so interesting because we tend to think very US or Western centric as it applies to these types of technologies or, from an investing point of view.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is these technologies are being leveraged to grow local economies and businesses and, alternative forms of capital formation.
Yeah, I think what stablecoins do, they really extend the current banking system. So what I mean by that, traditionally, the banking system has been really good in a few markets. So it could be US, EU, UK. What this does now is provide access to these systems, to the dollar, everywhere and to everyone. So we're excited to be at the forefront of that.
So we're also seeing huge on-chain activity from platforms like Polymarket, of course, which are processing millions of transactions on Polygon every month. How do these kinds of real-world use cases demonstrate the scalability and reliability of Polygon's network?
Yeah, so Polymarket's been a great partner of us. They really allow us to stress test our network, so to speak. We just made a recent update to the network. We're now able to process 5,000 TPS. And just for context, that's parallel to MasterCard. Their average TPS is 5,000 transactions per second. And now we're able to rival both Visa and MasterCard from a throughput perspective. So we're really excited about really becoming this payment specialized chain. And Polymarket's been a great example of us being able to process millions of transactions a day.
I mean, it's quite remarkable considering how young this space is to be able to achieve that level, like an incumbent like MasterCard as an example. Kind of what we were discussing before in emerging markets. Latin America is another one. Southeast Asia is another one. Tell us more about what's driving adoption there. How do these regions really illustrate blockchain's role in cases like we were just discussing?
Yeah, so I think users traditionally have not had access to dollars. Like as an example, when I was working at another company called Checkout, Fiverr is a platform for contractors. So if I'm an engineer in Latin America, someone in the US is hiring me, they're paying me in dollars. And traditionally, I would have to take that dollar and then withdraw in my local currency, which would incur a large FX fee. Now, these contractors can withdraw in USDC, have that USD sit in a digital wallet. There's an application that they have on their phone. And now they can use those dollars to either send peer-to-peer or to buy goods and services. And that access to these banking services and the dollar is very powerful. and very useful for people in Latin America and Africa and in Southeast Asia. So
Yeah.
it's exciting.
So when you look ahead, how do you see blockchain payments evolving over the next few years? And how is Polygon positioning to, continue to ride the momentum?
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot more companies, multinational companies, become fintechs or banks themselves. Like as an example, like an Uber or an Airbnb, they have very sticky user bases, very loyal user bases. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start spinning up digital wallets or bank accounts within their experience to offer some of these financial services and access to the dollar to, let's just say, a host on Airbnb that would want to hold dollars as an example. And we're very early days in seeing this, but that's some of my prediction is that we'll see enterprises starting to dip their toes into becoming financial services companies. And Polygon's role is really just providing that infrastructure. We pride ourselves in understanding problems and pain points of enterprises in the current systems for banks. And all we want to do is be that consultant or that infrastructure layer to introduce them to on-chain activity and on-chain payments.
Sounds like the path to ubiquity, doesn't it? Appreciate the insight, Sam. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me from SmartCon. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.